What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more punk rock, back with some more Propagandhi. I'm very excited to do this one because I saw the band when they were touring for this album, and I do believe they opened that concert with this song, which is indeed the first song on their album Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes. The disc is seen here. This is a tune, and I want to make sure I get this right. It's Mate Ka Moris Ukun Rasik An. This is a tune with a very specific meaning, though it does have, again, it's another tune that blends larger political concepts with personal experiences, not only in this case of themselves, although that is used specifically for contrast, which is a very interesting thing, but also in relation to this woman who, to get to the subject matter, this is a song about East Timor and the way it was occupied by the Indonesian military with the support of the US government and the Canadian government and a number of other governments. And ultimately, it was a very brutal occupation, a very oppressive occupation, a very violent occupation. And this song details the way in which this activist was able to use sleight of hand and deception and so on to resist this occupation, ultimately having to flee the country, where she was eventually given, I believe, refuge in Canada. I do believe the sample we hear at the beginning is her talking once she had arrived in Canada, and she was speaking about her experiences, and I believe singing about her experiences too. So yeah, I love the way in which this punk rock song tells a very important narrative about recent political and cultural events. And, you know, again, it's like this contrast where there's a stanza where he's saying, you know, at the same time, I was kind of riding on bikes with no hands, and I was having my first sort of like romantic experiences, and I was doing these things that, you know, most young people get to do at that sort of age, but in places where, you know, violent military incursions supported by governments that tout freedom in their national rhetoric, you know, they don't get those same opportunities. They don't get those same simple slice of life experiences that many of us take for granted and, you know, took for granted as kids. Not that we should have felt guilty as kids, but the idea that we were allowed to have those, while at other times, you know, people, because of our governments, or at least enabled by our governments, were having to run from, you know, foreign militaries, like shooting at civilian populations and so on. It really sort of drives home the significance of the other part of the song to me. So I really love the way they construct the lyrics in this one. Let me know if you have a different take, or at least like a more specific take. Let me know if you really do enjoy this song. But yeah, let's get to it. So this is Mate Ka Moris Ukun Rasik An, the first song on their Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes album, which I want to say is 2001, but I'm just sort of blanking. Yes, 2001. It was actually February. So here we go, the opening tune.
And I hope that one day I'm going to sing these songs in my country. For over 21 years, these songs are never allowed to sing in my own country. And thousands of people have been killed because singing these songs. And I'm proud tonight that I'm singing to all of you.
What a way to start an album.
I don't single file. Freckle fat boys and prairie skinheads who will never walk a mile.
It's a tale far removed from my own experience, but this tune makes me emotional. Guitar work helps with that. I think they talk about Laplani in the Quantity is Job #1 album. Her own Pearl Harbor.
cruise. She crossed her face on her back. It's why we're Trojan horse.
When I first heard this song, I was like, holy shit, they've gotten to a new level with their music. Like, listen to this. Shout out to Todd joining the band, man. And her uniform.
As she laid at the gates of the shameless embassy, and the whisper echoed into dawn, and she disappeared.
I love that riff on the way out. Yeah, like I said, it's a really amazing song. It's not only, I think, indicative of the sort of slightly evolved style that we began to hear with this album, but as I mentioned, it's a tale about a history. When I first heard it, I didn't know much about. As I got older and I learned more about the Indonesian occupation of East Timor, in some ways through some of the people I encountered through punk rock, like Noam Chomsky. I began reading because some punk bands that I listened to had mentioned him, and he's written a lot about that occupation. But like when I first heard this, I don't think I had read, very much on it at all. I didn't know much about it, so I was trying to understand the narrative. But even then, it sort of like struck me, the emotional content, and then obviously the more that you learn about the actual historical situation, the way in which those personal experiences are then contextualized makes it like an even more profound song. And as I said, I really appreciate the way they used, I don't know if it was Chris or, like which person was sort of speaking about their own life at the same time that this woman was, resisting this oppressive regime. But I do like that for a contrast. And again, it's like I was in this place that, talks about freedom and like, self-determination and so on. And I was, enjoying my youth the way every youth should be able to. But people in other places weren't allowed to do that, and in some ways it's because of what the people who make that big talk about freedom and so on were saying and doing. So nevertheless, let me know what you think. I really do like that song. It just, from the moment I played this album and I heard that song, I was like, wow, not only have they just reasserted that they're my favorite band ever, but damn, they've got this new sound. And I understood shortly thereafter that there was a lineup change. So, again, full respect to John Sampson for the work that he did in the group, but I do think you can feel and hear the moment at which Todd joined the group, so big ups to him. Let me know if there's another Propagandhi song you'd like to see reacted to. Let me know if there's any more punk rock you'd like to hear reacted to. Really enjoying that, the punk rock reactions, I think, were the first thing on this new channel that kind of hit. So, it just warms my heart that one of my very favorite musical influences in my entire life, that some people have enjoyed coming here and talking about bands and labels and, singers and songwriters and so on. So shout out to all of you who've been watching these punk rock reactions, especially if, you're one of the techno people who followed me from the other channel. I know there's some people who originally were watching my techno reactions or my techno mixes and then have eventually commented on other types of music. So big ups to everyone watching. I do appreciate you all. Have a good day, have a good night. I'll see you next time. Peace.